ladies and gentlemen. This is for Shoots and Giggles. We're going to have some fun today. Tell me what your name is and who I got here.
Josh.
You going to tell me your wrestling name?
Josh Cross.
Well, there you go. How long you been doing this, man?
I figured you knew that already. You was interviewing me.
Hey, well, no, here's the thing, though, is, the people watching might not know your name.
They know who
Yeah.
I am.
No, yeah, whatever. How long you been doing this, man?
Almost 16 years.
Dang. I didn't realize it was that long. Can you give us a little bit of background on yourself?
As in wrestling background, personal background.
A little bit of both, man.
Personal background, I'm from Wichita Falls, Texas. I grew up everywhere, traveled, moved around state to state up until I was probably about 12. Been here in Arkansas since. And
You didn't do that by choice, did you?
no.
Nobody stays in Arkansas by choice, but
I'm working on getting out of Arkansas. Wrestling background, I've been, like I said, wrestling almost 16 years. Started when I was 19. The first year I only wrestled maybe 3 or 4 times that year. And then just progressed from there.
well, talking about that, what originally made you want to get into wrestling?
It's just something I've always been interested in, something I've always wanted to do. It's just, I've always enjoyed it. It was something that, I don't have any family that was into wrestling. I don't have any family that was wrestlers. It was just something off on my own that I enjoyed to go do.
Well, you're talking about your first year. You only had a couple of matches. Let's talk about your first match you ever had. Can you tell me about the match itself and the emotions going into it that day, like knowing that you were going to have your first ever match?
My first ever match, going into it, I thought it would be easy. There was nothing to it. I've seen other people do it, and I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then I go out there, and I'm like, just stopped. Like, I go out there, no reactions, no interactions with anything. I'm just there. Like, I'm just looking around like, why am I here? Like, I didn't know what to do with fans. I didn't know what to do with the worker, and it was not good.
Well, I gotta ask you. This is just from my personal experience of listening to you. Can you tell the people what your original wrestling name was?
Unfortunately, it was Regulator.
Regulators! Oh man!
Exactly.
All right, let's just go on here. Give me what is probably your favorite match that you've been a part of?
There's a lot. Like, I've done quite a bit that I don't know if I could actually just pick one.
Well, what match stands out to you the most, though, that you've been a part of?
Like I said, I've done so many, and so many like good ones and fun ones. Probably my steel cage ladder match with Ray Ray.
I'll go figure, huh?
Yeah.
Well, would it be obvious to say that Ray Ray's one of your favorite people to be in the ring with?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of them. Like, there's a few that I enjoy being in the ring with, but yeah, Ray Ray's one of them. He's one of the top ones.
Well, talking about matches and whatnot, what's your favorite type of match to be in? Because I know there's a wide variety of different styles of matches and whatnot, but what's your personal favorite match to be a part of?
Probably a ladder match.
Oh, just so you can just beat the hell out of somebody?
No, there's like so many aspects of it. I can wrestle. I can do what I'm not supposed to do and fly. And
Yeah, we see that gut.
and I can also use weapons. So I get the best of everything all around.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to see. I've watched, I've been a part of and watched quite a few ladder matches with you, but the back body drop onto the ladder, leaning against the ropes, the way your fat ass just bounces off the thing, it is just it's a fun time. It's a fun time. All right, now you said you've been wrestling for 16 years. What would you honestly say has been the biggest moment of your career?
The biggest moment of my career? I don't know, probably the reaction I got. I mean, yet again, it has to do with Ray Ray. Probably the reaction I got when I made my return and attacked and turned on Ray.
And that was just with this last year. So I mean, that's pretty recent. Out of all the years, that right there, that stands out to you. That stands as your biggest moment.
Yeah, because before, I mean, I won titles here, I've won titles there, but other than that, I've never really served a purpose in the ring. Like at that point in time was one of those things that pretty much solidified who I was and where I would be at.
What do you mean by you felt like you never served a purpose?
Well, up until then, I was, depending on the promotion and who was running the promotion, I was a filler. Like, yeah, I held a title if they needed somebody to hold it and they didn't have somebody else. I've always felt like in every promotion I've been, I was kind of on the Dolph Ziggler role. If they need somebody to have a decent match, they throw them in there with me. Or a decent angle, they throw them in there with me. But I was never really the first person they had in mind to put over. So up until then, like, I was a good guy here, I was a bad guy here. Up until then, this really pretty much solidified my role as my character and who I was in wrestling.
All right. This is going to be kind of a two-part thing here. Who do you feel like have been your biggest influences? First of all, we'll go with, like, say, the star-wise, like wrestling star-wise. Who's been your biggest influence on your career?
Originally, it was Jeff Hardy. Because if you go back, there's pictures. If you go back and look at my first ever actual, what I considered wrestling gear, it was Jeff Hardy's gear to a T, except a different color. Growing up, every time he would change his hair, I would change mine. I had the same haircut. I'd change the different colors. I'd change the design shape of my head. So for the longest time, that's who I idolized and who I wanted to be like. And then once I got a little older and fatter, I kind of slowed down a little bit, and I started trying to model myself more after like an Edge or a Macho Man. I still do the high flying stuff. So you could say I kind of modeled like around Samoa Joe type. But I always looked up to like the Macho Mans, the Edge, the Hardys, and people of that nature.
Okay. Well, what about local guys? Who's influenced your career the most?
There's quite a few. Like when I first started, I had to pick up stuff here and there as I went because I didn't actually get trained properly. And I went through the stages, and then until I got to a point to where I met Rodney Mack and Jazz, and I trained with them for a while. But up until then, it was people like Idlebane, Cody Only, Deadly Dells, Ray Ray, Kid Crazies, Austin Lanes, that would take me aside and show me things and teach me where I needed to do things and how I needed to do things. So I looked up to them a lot coming up locally because, I mean, they were the ones that actually took me and showed me different things.
Well, you've done this for a little while and all, and you felt, I kind of get the gist. You feel like you've done quite a bit, but I don't feel like you're quite done yet, and I don't think you feel like that either. So honestly, what motivates you to keep going, to keep doing this every week?
I just love wrestling. I just love the business. I help train people now. I enjoy doing that. I help with everything involved in wrestling. I help with backstage stuff. I'm here if people need advice. I enjoy when people come to me asking me for my advice because I have been doing it for almost 16 years, and I think that's what keeps me going and enjoying what I do, because I enjoy helping people and getting other people involved that want to get involved.
Well, doing this as long as you have, and you said, when you first started, you said you didn't get trained properly or whatever, and then you finally did. Well, and now you're helping train a lot of the, if not training and helping train, a lot of the new crop of the indie wrestlers here in Arkansas as it is. What do you see the main difference between when you first started and the guys that you're helping train now, the environment overall? What do you feel like is the main difference?
Honestly, the main difference that I can see, and it sucks to say, there's not as much respect now than there was back then when I started. Now it's more on the basis of people get into wrestling and they're like, okay, I'm a wrestler now, I can do this, this, and this. When it's not like that. I understand people want to get out there and do stuff in wrestling, but you got to be patient and wait till you're ready. People are wanting to say, oh, I've done training for so long, so now I'm going to go take bookings. When taking bookings and going, you can be comfortable in one locker room that you're training at or doing stuff in, but you go to a completely different locker room in a different area and it's a whole different animal. So the aspect of respect and communication is a lot different now than what it was 15, 16 years ago when I started.
Well, speaking of wrestling in general, what are your thoughts on the new school style, quote unquote, of wrestling as compared to the old school style? I mean, what are your thoughts on how wrestling has changed and evolved over the years?
To me, there is no new school and old school style of wrestling. So, I mean, you still have people that like to chain wrestle. You still have people that like to be a technical wrestler. You still have people that like to do all that kind of stuff. It's just, in my opinion, you need to adapt. Regardless on how long ago it was or where you come from, you need to adapt, because you're not going to work a technical wrestler every match. You're not going to work a brawler every match. You're not going to work a heavyweight every match. You're not going to work a high flyer every match. I mean, there's still aspects of it that are the same as back in the 70s and 80s, as opposed to there's still stuff that go on now that didn't go on then. Like, it's not a fact of old school versus new school or any style. It's the fact of a wrestler evolving to where they can work any style. I mean, you got like the Dean Malenkos of an era that they were a technical wrestler, but you seen him go out there with like Rey Mysterios and Eddie Guerreros and can do everything they did. But he wasn't known for the high flying. He was known to be a solid technical wrestler. He adapted his style to be able to work them guys. So to me, like I said, it's not an aspect of old school versus new school. It's you need to be a hybrid of all of it in order to make it, because you might be in front. I've had this happen where I could go out there and I could do a technical match and chain wrestle with somebody almost all match, and somebody be into it. I go out there and try and do that in a different area, and they don't want to see that. They want to see something else. So you got to know how to do multiple styles as opposed to I'm an old school wrestler or a new school wrestler.
Well, before we wrap it up, I gotta ask, I gotta hear your favorite road story. And remember, there might be kids watching, so let's keep it kind of clean as best we can, you know.
My favorite road story. I would probably have to say driving on the road with Deadly Dell and Idle Bane, going to shows up in Illinois. It was just hilarious because we'd stop at a gas station for a bathroom break or something. You're in there doing what you got to do in the bathroom, and next thing you know, you hear Idle Bane taking a pee in a trash can, or pee coming underneath the stall because Deadly Dell's taking a pee on all the toilet papers on the walls, and you're just like, what is going on? Like, you're in there for a normal bathroom break, and Deadly Dell and Idle Bane are peeing on toilet paper and trash cans.
Oh, Lord have mercy. That's great.
It'd be between that or on the road with Ray Ray. Being on the road with Ray Ray when you're trying to use the bathroom, he's trying to climb the stalls.
Yeah, that actually happened this last weekend at IHOP. Not with me, but with Justin Vincent. He tried to climb in there with him, but we're not gonna get into that. All right, complete final thought here. And I'm gonna, I like to ask, the guys that's been doing it for a while on this, what advice would you give to any young wrestler, when I say young, that hadn't been doing it very long, or someone that's wanting to get into wrestling? What advice would you give them?
I mean, find somebody that'll train you. Don't act like you know everything. Don't act like you know what you're doing, because you don't. And just listen. Be respectful and listen. Get trained. Be respectful and listen. That ultimately is the key to wrestling. Like, they'll teach you, your trainer, whoever it is, will teach you what you need to know to wrestle. And as long as you're respectful and you listen, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you go in there acting like you know everything, or you're a hot shot because you do have talent, regardless on if you have talent or not. I mean, if you're super green in the business and you go in there and tell everybody, well, no, this is what I am going to do, I don't care how long you've been doing it, you're not going to go anywhere. As long as you communicate, be respectful, and listen, you won't have a problem.
Well, man, I appreciate your time. I really do. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Josh Cross for being on the show with us. This has been Shoots and Giggles, baby.